All right, welcome to the weekend video. This is Enda here, and as usual, I didn't get to do well. Yesterday was Good Friday. I didn't get to do an update yesterday, but today I am back, taking an hour on Saturday morning just to go through the market, see what's happened this week. The markets weren't open yesterday, so not a whole lot happened yesterday. But I just want to give you a rundown, and I hope you're all well. And happy Resurrection weekend to you all. So let's get into it. This is the website, obviously. So if you're interested in nightly Elliott wave analysis, get over to bullwaves.org, and I can do that for you. All right, I have my tea because I have a sore throat, and I'm going to kind of battle through this. But I doubt I'll last as long as usual. Okay. All right, let's move on to the actual screen. Yes, there we are. Okay, so I'm going to start again on the FX markets. They're a bit boring these last few days, but you know the deal. This is the daily chart. This is what I have been tracking for a long time. We're so close to that invalidation line there at 106.35. So that's the wave B low, 106.35. We had a wave C rally. Still tracking that three waves down into the wave D low. We're kind of close to, let's say, bursting out of this long-term pattern. This pattern has worked for a very long time, so it's a momentous occasion for me, actually, if this pattern breaks. So next week, again, I'm just looking for that wave E up. Let's see if it happens. Here's the 4-hour chart. You can see we pipped below that 108.07 low, that previous spike low. On the hourly chart here, you can see that now takes the wave 3 low. We had, well, it was always a choppy ride higher, wasn't it? Wave A up, triangle B wave, and wave C. 3 waves up, what ended up being wave 4, and then what turned out to be a further 5-wave decline in wave 5. So here we are. The best thing the most relevant thing I can say is that I'm just waiting and seeing here. So move on. Here is cable. And if you continually hear lulls in the conversation, that's because I am nursing my cup of tea. Now, I was looking at this morning before I started recording, and there is a possibility that we have an expanded flat correction going on here in wave 4. If that's the case, we do have the possibility of 3 waves down into this recent low here. So keep that in mind. This could end up being an expanded flat, and then we fall again into wave 5 of C. we will see, of course. Okay, here we go. This is the hourly chart here, and this is what I've been tracking throughout the week. There's still the idea that we have a possible triangle wave 4, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, and very slight new. Well, we did. We crossed below by about what 20 pips. We broke below to complete wave 5, so it's a legit count. We will see. There's also, obviously now there is the idea that there could be an expanded flat correction wave 4 underway here. In that case, still we'd probably get a rally up to about 132 or 133 to complete that 4th wave. So that would be an alternate wave 4 high here, and then we'd fall into wave 5 again. But we'll see how that. We'll track how that goes. And that's the idea now for next week. Okay, here's dollar yen daily, and you remember throughout December and January that we were tracking this sideways triangle, and we were looking for a 5th wave rally, but we got that major 5th wave rally, and that doesn't seem to want to top out. But I know for a fact that it will top out. That's way too far, too fast. I will probably retrace back into that consolidation area again, about 116, 115. Where does that triangle finish at about 114.70? So we'll probably fall in wave 2 back towards that level. Here's the 4-hour count. Not much difference there. You can see the triangle in wave 4, then the resounding rally in wave 5. Yet to be topped out. I was last week, working on the idea over the last couple of weeks actually, that was wave A down and we were rallying wave B, but we just continued to kind of, peak above that previous high, so it just didn't fit anymore. The expanded flat wave 2 idea didn't fit anymore, so we've kind of reverted back to, tracing out the top of this wave 1, and we'll just have to wait and see when wave A comes. Well, hopefully next week, but we'll see what happens. Now, we'll move on. This is the stock market. This is the daily stock market. You can see there was a projected high for the stock market actually at 36,600, and that was a Fibonacci projection from the previous wave 4 low. So that was the Corona crash, let's call it, from March 2020. And if you take 100% of that crash and you just project it from the wave 4 low, so you're just projecting the depth of that crash from the low of the crash, and you see where the Fibonacci extension comes out. And the Fibonacci extension projected to 36,600, and we pipped just above 36,600 and we fell. So far, it's like a progression lower. There has no. We could, the further it goes on, the more kind of spikes to the downside that we see, even if it just kind of grinds to the sideways or to the side. I can see a picture of this left shoulder developing here into the right shoulder. So, we could grind sideways for another month as we trace out a series of 1-2s before we actually, cascade lower. We'll see. I would prefer, I'd say, to go lower quicker, but we'll see how that goes. Here is the 4-hour count. It's a series of 1-2s off the top. That still works here for the moment. The alternate count is for an expanded flat wave 2, so we would see, that's wave A up in wave 2, wave B down, and then we'd see a 5-wave rally in wave C. So that would be wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'd see a final spike above 35,850 in wave 5 of C of 2. So there is that alternate idea that we see a peak in wave 2 over here. We'll see how it goes. So far, so good. We're moving to the downside again. Here is the hourly count off that wave 2 high, so it's possibly a leading wedge. I know we saw that off the top in the NASDAQ, and that worked out quite well actually. So it could be a leading wedge into wave 1 and ABC up in wave 2. We'll see how it goes. We finished the trade on Friday with a spike lower, so we'll see if that continues on on Thursday. So we'll see if that continues on Monday down to begin wave 3. So that'll be the idea next week, wave 3 of 3. So we'll see how that goes. Let's move on to crude oil. Here's my crude oil. Okay, so no, that's gold. Sorry, move on to gold. Oh, forgive my cold now. It's just when I start talking. If I just shut up and show you the charts, it'll probably work out easier. Okay, so we've ruled out a series of patterns for wave B. I had thought that it was a triangle B wave, but it seems to be a complex correction B wave. It's three waves up in A, a triangle B wave, and then 5 waves up in wave C. So it's A, B, C complex correction. You see here on the hourly chart. Oh yeah, sorry. I always trick myself. That is one interpretation actually. On the hourly count, I'm going with the other interpretation. That's 5 waves down in A and a simple 3 waves up in wave B. But you could actually use both, to be quite honest. You could use 3 waves up in A, B, C, D, and E, B wave triangle, and then a rally in wave C. It brings you to the same point, a B wave top. I've noticed that we have come to a halt at the 50% retracement level of the previous decline. So this is wave A decline. We retraced to 50%. In this particular count, it's 3 waves up, so it's A, B, C up in wave B. No rollover yet, but we'll see if that comes next week. Rollover in wave C could easily bring us down to about 1840 or even below again. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, here's crude oil. Here's a 4-hour count of crude oil. I was looking for a rally in crude oil this week. You'll see the kind of what I'm working with here is a sideways wave 2. So we've got 5 waves down in wave 1, and we're working on this ABC pattern here in wave 2. We create a lower high shoulder, pretty standard 3-wave pattern. We'll see if we get there. It's looking likely that we will get there, but we'll see if we get there next week. Here is the short-term pattern. You can see 5 waves up in A, 3 down in B, and we're working on a 5-wave pattern higher here in wave C. So keep an eye on the charts every night. Go join the website. Keep an eye on the charts. We did call that rally quite well, and I think it's pretty much proved itself now by breaking above that previous B wave high. So we spiked above that on Thursday. So it looks like we may be beginning wave 3 of C now, with the potential target for about 117 for wave 2 to complete. So in ABC, we'll see whether we get there next week. That's the idea. Okay, here's the 4-hour in S&P. The S&P did actually pip above the previous wave A high, so we got an expanded flat wave 2, and then a more precipitous decline actually into to begin wave 3, which is encouraging. We had that rally against a real decline in momentum, so that rally was kind of doomed, somewhere around the midpoint there, and we have come back on. We've oscillated around the midpoint of momentum, and we've come back off the top of wave 2. So it looks like we've got a wave 1 and ABC pattern wave 2. We did, on top of that, we broke this week, we broke the previous possible high for an alternate wave 1. So if you were counting this as 3 waves down, you would look for wave 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So wave 4 has broken the previous wave 1 now. Let's say if we push substantially below that again, we're looking at an invalidation of any bullish pattern here. So I'd like to see a rollover quicker than not on this market. Here's the working hypothesis here. Again, a leading wedge, wave 1, a possible wave 2 in, but there is an alternate for that. We could look at this as a wave 1 and 2 to begin wave 3. So it's a series of 1-2s. We'll see how that. We'll see whether that comes to fruition next week. But even if it doesn't, it looks like we'll probably push back. If we don't collapse in wave 3, it looks like we'll push back towards 45.25 or 45.30 in an alternate wave 2, and then fall in wave 3. So wave 3 down is still expected next week. We'll see how that goes. Here is silver, the levitator that is silver. Probably best to describe this on the short-term pattern, but you can see we're still holding that lower high and expecting a C wave decline, but I'm looking at a 1-2 pattern. I could go at 1 degree higher here, actually. It probably might work a bit better, but I might change that next week. 5 waves down in wave 1, 3 waves up in wave 2, spike lower to begin maybe wave 1 of 3 next week, but we'll see how that goes. Interesting enough to finish the week with a spike lower and a corrective lower, a lower high. We'll see whether it works out as a corrective lower high or not. But that is the, let's say, base case scenario for silver. So even with, so-called hyperinflation, we're still flat on, the last 8 months or 9. So we're going sideways in silver, whether you like it or not. Okay, this could actually be, if you wanted to make a triangle out of wave B, you could actually do that. Wave A down on A, B, C, D, and E. Maybe we continue to contract over the next over the next week or so, and we actually get a triangle out of wave B. We'll see how that goes. That's a possibility. If we break down out of that lower, let's say, trend line of a triangle, we've definitely begun wave C. So watch out for that $24 level on silver. Okay, so Bitcoin, we did complete that ABC up in wave 4 that I was looking for, and now it looks like we've got either a wave 1 building. I think it's probably still a wave 1 building. So we'll see a 1-2 pattern next week, and then a cascade lower in wave 3. I think, go to daily count, I think we could, well, minimum target for wave C of B here is a break of 28,000, let's say, but I think we could easily go to 20,000 if this pattern decides to extend a little bit, which it could. I mean, it's an expanded flat, so we should expand lower. Quite possibly expand lower. I haven't done this yet, so I'll get a fib projection of the B wave top. Give us a possible fib. Well, this is now. This would be a 162% extension of wave A. So if this is wave A, off the wave B top, we get the 162% extension. Funny enough, it brings us back towards 11,000. You make of that what you will, but I think our C wave low is going to come somewhere between 27,000 and probably 11,000, and we'll find a low, significant low, probably over the next couple of months, and then once this pattern completes, I'm actually probably going to turn into an uber bull on on Bitcoin. I might even buy some. Who knows? Because if this is a C wave rally, God knows, this is something horrendous is about to happen. Let's see. And in that case, Bitcoin probably goes to 200 grand or something like that, something crazy like that. Okay, let's move on. I want to go to the Nasdaq. Here's a 4-hour count on the Nasdaq. A standard 5-wave decline and an ABC up in wave 2. So that's a 1-2 pattern, and that was followed last week by a pretty standard move down into a 3rd wave decline. So we haven't got a 1-2 pattern here yet on the hourly, have we? No. We're building a wave 1 and 2. We may still have one more low in wave 1. So idea being that we see a low in wave 1 probably next week. Maybe this was an extended wave 3, simple wave 4, and 5. So we get a wave 1 pattern, then a lower high wave 2, and we spill into a 3rd wave then later on. Maybe towards the May area, middle of May, maybe closer than that actually. So I think I've just gone through the markets. This is obviously Resurrection Weekend. This is the weekend that we celebrate, the death and resurrection of our Lord and Savior, Jesus the Messiah. And if you haven't accepted the Messiah yet, I humbly ask you to consider it, because we are all sinners. We've all fallen short of the mark, and we have all transgressed a holy God. We cannot stand before God dressed in our own righteousness, because as Isaiah says, our righteousness is as filthy rags. So, well, why? What did God do for guilty sinners so that we could stand before him? And that is, the thing he did was, he came to earth in the form of a man, the Messiah, and he died himself in place of your death. So you don't have to. And I want to actually finish today's more tea there. I want to finish today's update by reading Isaiah, and you might find this interesting. I think it's awesome. So here we go. Who has believed our report? And whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like the root of a dry ground. He has no stately form or majesty that we would look at him, nor appearance that we would take pleasure in him. He was despised and abandoned by men, a man of great pain and familiar with sickness, and like one from whom people hide their faces. He was despised, and we had no regard for him. However, it was our sickness that he himself bore, and our pains that he carried. Yet we ourselves assumed that he had been afflicted, struck down by God, and humiliated. But he was pierced for our offenses, He was crushed for our wrongdoings. The punishment of our well-being was laid upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. All of us like sheep have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way, but the Lord has caused the wrongdoing of all to fall on him. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth, like a lamb that is led to slaughter, and like a sheep that is silent before his shearers, he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. And as for his generation, who considered that he was cut off from the land of the living, and for the wrongdoing of my people, to whom the blow was due, and his grave was assigned with the wicked men, yet he was a rich man in his death, because he had done no violence, nor was there any deceit in his mouth. But the Lord desired to crush him, causing him grief. If he renders himself as a guilty offering, he will see his offspring. He will prolong his days, and the good pleasure of the Lord will prosper in his hands. And as a result of the languish of his soul, he will see it and be satisfied. By his knowledge, the righteous one, my servant, will justify the many, and he will bear their wrongdoings. Therefore I will allot him a portion with the great, and he will divide the plunder with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death, and was counted with the wrongdoers. Yet he himself bore the sin of many, and interceded for the wrongdoers. Amen. Happy Resurrection Weekend.